go.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inspiring Connections, episode
21.
Oh, man. I'm glad you know. I thought it was 20. We're getting up there, so I'm forgetting. Oh, my goodness. I'm glad you knew.
I saw your face.
Yeah. I was like, what episode number is this? Once we get into the double figures, I don't know what we're doing at the time. Anyways, but I think we got a really great episode. I know I say that every week, but I really mean it. Not that all the other ones weren't great. They are. But this one's really good.
Yeah, I guess it's because we can relate to, because we have been blogging.
Yep.
We love to blog, and we use WordPress, even for WordJam.tv.
Yes.
It's like,
it's really the platform, the most popular website platform, blogging platform out there. And if you're a blogger, I think this show is for you.
Because we're going to talk about security.
Yeah, which is a very important component. It's not necessarily a very glamorous part of it, but it's very important. And if you're not up on it, then you could find your site down. You could be hacked into. And don't think it can't happen to you, because it can.
Yeah, it's scary. Like, you've been working hard. You've been getting a lot of page views. You've been getting a lot of people, subscribing to your site. And then suddenly, oops.
There it goes.
You wake up one morning,
do?
I don't have a website because you got hacked. Yep.
Exactly. Now we have Syed Balkhi on with us. Now Syed, in my mind, he's like the WordPress king. I don't know if he'd say that, but I think so. He is the owner of WPBeginner. WPBeginner.
WPBeginner, yep.
It's the largest WordPress resource site in the world. For beginners. A lot of great tutorials. I mean, Syed, it's a great site. It's tons of information. If you want to know how to put up a site, if you're brand new, or even if you've been doing it for a while, it's got
tons of tips, and they have a blueprint on there wherein if you don't know anything and just want to start, they will give you like a step-by-step.
Absolutely. Now, Syed, not only does he have WPBeginner, but he also has a site called List25. I'm sure some of you know about that one. I know my daughter was all excited when I knew the owner of that. And also SteadyStrength, which is a health and fitness site, right?
If you want to know how to eat right, the types of food you should eat, they even discuss like what kind of diets there are available and see what is like what's good for you.
Absolutely. But tonight it's all about WordPress and WordPress security. So if you're a blogger, website owner, and you use WordPress, which is probably highly likely that you do, this is a show you don't want to miss and you want to listen to. There's a ton of resources that are mentioned during this show, so please check the show notes or rewind it or whatever. But Syed goes pretty fast, and he's got a ton of information for everybody here. So without any further ado, let's get into it with Syed Balkhi. Syed, welcome to PodJam TV Live.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you.
So let's get right into it with the questions. We're going to talk security. It's a big topic. So why should people who use WordPress even care about securing their sites?
Well, if your website is a business, then you need to worry about security. If you can't, afford your website of being down. If somebody is to hack your website, then not only will it be down for whatever time it is, but you can also lose your SEO rankings, because a lot of times these attacks are, doing SQL link injections and putting links to bad neighborhood sites like Viagra or insurance, etc. from your site. So you can, lose your rankings in search. And worse, when Google flags you and say this website is dangerous, and it comes up in a red flag in your Chrome browser or in your Mozilla browser, and that just looks terrible, because now your customers are going, do I really want to enter this website? So those are just a few reasons that you should be worrying about security.
Now, there are a lot of different types of attacks, and I'm thinking, why should the average blogger of small site worry about it? What are some of the attacks that people should really be on the lookout for, and what are some of the motives that the attackers have to get into your site?
Well, the main motive that hackers have is obviously money most of the time. Is because they're usually going after either injecting links in your site, or sometimes if you're a larger site, they're going in and changing your affiliate links if you're using affiliate marketing. Let's say you have a very large Amazon-based affiliate site. They'll go in and change your affiliate links to point to theirs, and you would never know. So some of these hacks are really sneaky, and next thing you know, you're losing more than half of your revenue if that's Amazon was providing that for you. So a lot of times these hackers do that. Often they also, use your website to host malware. They also, just point to their client sites, which could be like a Viagra site or porn site or whatever, and this just doesn't look good for you. So those are the incentives. And like the hackers, they usually, go. The ones that I see more often are the SQL link injections on different sites.
What is that exactly?
So this is when hackers use your inject links to your site. Basically, they have a link to a Viagra site, and they will populate your website. So on the homepage, there will be like links to different Viagra sites. And sometimes an average user cannot see it; only search engines can see it. The whole purpose is for them to game the search algorithm to bring their client's website up. And in that case, your website is going down because you're linking to a bad neighborhood website.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot to be concerned about.
That's scary.
Yeah. And I think also, I would think it's very, very important if you manage your own site to, now WordPress sends out updates, security updates on a regular basis. And I would think that would be the number one thing you can do. As far as protecting your site from hacking attacks, can you share your top 5 security tips with us?
Well, one of them you already mentioned, keep your WordPress core and plugins up to date, because a lot of times, people are running older versions that have exploits already, that have been fixed. So you're putting your site at risk. Although it's a remote risk, there's a risk, and I always recommend everybody to upgrade. Then the second tip in my book is have a good backup solution, right? I would say that no website is can be 100% protected. Every website can be hacked. So the best thing you can do is have a contingency plan, have a very good backup solution. And for that, I recommend using WordPress because it's a managed solution, but you can use Backup Buddy, which is another great solution. And you just keep daily backups, sometimes, even hourly backups, depending on how big your site is. Another tip that I often give to a lot of WordPress users is just disable your theme and plugin editors. Most of the time, you don't need it. So plugin and theme editors are in your WordPress admin. You can edit the code of your theme or the plugin from that. In most cases, you don't really need it. So a lot of times when hackers get access to your site, let's say they were able to guess a bad password and they were just able to brute force in. Now, if they want to add like a backdoor access to gain full access to your server, what they will do is they will edit like your theme file or a plugin file and insert their shell access code, and then they have your entire server. So disable your theme and plugin editors.
Now, before you go on to the theme and plugin editors, that's just is that a toggle on the dashboard, or where is that located? How do you do that? 'Cause that's the first I've heard of it. That's a great tip.
Yeah, to disable that, you have to add a line in your WP config, and we actually have a tutorial on that in WPBeginner. If you just Google disable theme and plugin editors, WPBeginner, it will come up. But I can share you guys with the link, and you can put it in your post.
Absolutely.
Another thing you can do is you can disable the PHP executions in your directories. So what I noticed is backdoor hacks are usually uploaded into your uploads folder. You know how a WordPress upload folder structure is by year and then months. People don't really look in it. So sometimes what they do is they will just hide a file, like it would be called hello, and HELL0, hello Dolly, but it's spelled in a different way, and hidden in your uploads folder, and you would never think to look there, but they upload that backdoor file there, and then they get the full access. So if you disable the PHP executions, even if they were able to upload that file, they wouldn't be able to execute it. And we also have a tutorial on that. Another tip I give is use two-factor authentication. So aside from using your password, you have a second authentication level. You can use Google Authenticator or one of the many other options. And the bonus tip, that I would give, is delete all the inactive plugins and themes that you have.
Okay.
Because a while back when they found an exploit in TimTum, the third-party script, what they essentially started doing was, let's say even if your site wasn't running a theme that has TimTum, but you once used the theme, like a year ago or whenever, and that was still sitting there in the deactivated theme, the hackers just basically compiled a list of all the themes that had TimTum, and they would run the queries against your site. And if they found it, there you go. They had a vulnerability in your site.
Wow.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if you have plugins or themes deactivated. If you're not going to use them, better off getting them out of your system. All those files out.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Now, as far as WordPress is famous for plugins and add-ons and things like that. What are your top tools or plugins website owners need to know about and use on their sites to make sure they're protecting their sites from getting hacked?
For backups, I personally use WordPress. It's WordPress.com. It's a service by Automatic, the parent company behind WordPress.com. It's a managed solution, and the beauty of it is they manage real-time backup, so you can back up hourly, and it's stored in their servers, so you don't have to worry about that. So it's a very easy solution for beginners and those who just want to do what they're doing. But again, Backup Buddy is a great solution. BackWP is a free plugin that's also a good solution. I personally use a service that's by my friend Dre Ermeda and Tony Perez. It's called Sucuri, Sucuri. And what they do is they offer monitoring service for your website. And they also have active blocking going on. So if they find somebody that's suspicious, they will block their IP.
Okay.
Yeah, and they also, within their plugin, they have the ability to disable the PHP execution and all the other jazz, like replacing your WordPress database structure, or the prefix, WordPress database prefix, and that. And not to mention, they will clean up your site if it gets hacked under their watch. So, a lot of times if your site gets hacked, to hire a good security consultant, you're going to be paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Versus security, it costs like $89 a year.
Wow.
Nice.
And then if you have multiple sites, like I did the math, it came about to be like $3 per site per month. No matter how big your site is, they will clean it up, and these guys know what they're doing, so they are very good. Another plugin I recommend is called Limit Login Attempts. What it does, it limits the failed login attempts. So if you have, if somebody's trying to break into your site and they type the password wrong, let's say 3 times,
right,
your server will lock them out for an hour. And then if they get locked again, then they will be locked for 24 hours. Okay. And every time it will notify you that somebody had a failed login attempt using this username, right?
So that keys off to the IP?
Yes, that also keys the IP, so you know where the attack is coming from. Another thing I mentioned is Google Authenticator. That's a great plugin. Apache Password Protect is something that I see a lot of sites doing it. We're doing it at WPBeginner as well. So if you go on wpbeginner.com/WPadmin, you can't even see the login page. You'll get hit at the Apache Password Protect, and we have a tutorial on that. But it's a little bit more codey solution. So there's no easy plugin for that. But those would be like my few choices for plugins.
Oh, excellent, man! And we'll have to get all this in the show notes because I know there's a lot of this is a lot of information for people, especially people watching live. But we will get it all in the notes. In fact, I might as well just break right in here since we're getting so much information tonight and very valuable information. And I know if people are watching; they're probably scrambling trying to write it down. All this content will be part of our next episode of Inspiring Connections, our podcast, and that comes out on Tuesday. It's all both in audio download and video streamable formats.
Plus we're gonna make sure that everything is in the show notes everywhere. Even Inspiring Connections, because
we make a blog post as well, so all the notes, all the links will be there. So don't worry about trying to get everything. There's a lot of information there and really good information, but I want to make everyone aware of that. Syed, in terms of hosting, what companies offer the best security features for hosting WordPress sites, in your opinion?
I would say that any of the managed WordPress hosting solutions are going to have the better options because, their hardware, their infrastructure is built just to support WordPress. And the guys at like WP Engine, ZippyKit, Pagely, they're all doing a great job. They're actively monitoring your sites. I know particularly WP Engine uses, security, and they have team forces for making sure that the WP Engine infrastructure is really good. And so I would say any of the managed WordPress hosting solutions will give you the best security for WordPress. And then obviously afterward, you're on your own in terms of any other hosting provider.
Okay. And those hosting providers are probably a little bit more on the costlier side, and I would imagine because of the managed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're what I would call them. I would say that they're like a premium level thing. If you are a business and you want to focus on what you do best and let the experts handle what they do best, it's just about specializing in knowing your strengths and being aware of your weaknesses and taking action in that course.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I just want to say hello to Vegas Bill and Antran, and we have Patricia, we have 24K Media listening in right now.
Excellent.
Awakening Amy.
Cool.
Yeah, everyone's listening in.
And then they're trying to keep up with what you were saying and also sharing some tips.
Yeah, that's why I make sure everyone knew that all this will be available. Don't worry about taking notes. Syed, I know that this is not necessarily a direct security issue, but spam and spam on comments and link back. In fact, we get it on our site. I'm sure on your sites you get it to the nth degree. Is there and I obviously it's a nuisance, and there's ways to combat that, but I guess a couple of different questions I have with that is what's the best way to combat it? Is there a kind of a formula that you use or a method that you use to best combat it, whether it's a plugin or whatever it is? And then two, is there a better commenting system? I know WordPress has commenting built in, but as you know, there are various third-party commenting systems. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, we're opening a lot of cans here. So let me focus on comment spam first, and then I'll move on to the commenting solutions. So I would recommend that you use Akismet by default, which comes installed in everyone. But when I'm using security, it's also blocking a lot of bad neighborhood IPs, so it reduces the comment spam for me. I noticed that if you have trackbacks and pingbacks that are visible in the front end of your website, then it increases the amount of spam that you get. Okay. So I would say at least disable it on the front end. On our sites, because they're much larger, we get tons of trackback spam. So I've gotten to a point where I've disabled trackbacks altogether. Okay. Because they do more harm than they do good for us. So I went ahead and disabled that. Another thing that I did on WPBeginner, which is rather controversial, but I followed the footsteps of Smashing Magazine, and they've been doing it for a while, is I removed the ability to link, to add your link in the comment. Okay. So, for example, if you type, you only put your name and your email and then your message. You do not get a backlink. Right. So, I did that mainly because a lot of people were, just leaving low quality comments just to, get backlinks. Yes. Even though it's a no follow backlink, they're still getting some sort of juice. I don't know what happened with Google there, but people were doing that. So that definitely, having all three of those solutions in, it reduced the spam significantly for us. Excellent. Yep.
Now, are you talking about as far as the links? How people have their name and maybe an email, a link, and then the comment. Are you talking about just in the comments or all together?
I'm talking about all together. Okay. So you can put a link in the comment, right? In the text of your comment, in the comment body, but our system will track it. If you have one link, it will automatically hold your comment for moderation. Okay. Okay. But you know how when you type a comment, your name will get linked to your website? Right. we got rid of that ability from WPBeginner because of such a high volume of spam. We still have it open on List25 because users don't abuse it as much.
Okay.
So you just have to play it, by case scenarios. But having Akismet and security did the job. I have seen a lot of websites that use a honeypot solution, meaning it checks, if the JavaScript is enabled, and if it is, then the comment makes it through. Some websites use a checkbox that says, check here if you're human. So every time your commenter wants to leave a comment, they have to check it. So that ensures that you're getting, good quality comments there.
How about CAPTCHA? What's your feeling about that?
I honestly feel that if you're putting CAPTCHA, you're discouraging your users to comment.
Exactly.
Going through another loophole. So I would much rather remove the link, because that just makes it easier. If you were commenting on the site just to get a backlink, then I'm sorry, I don't want you to comment.
Right.
That's just my reaction to that.
No, that's only fair too, because the commenting is meant to be an extension of what was said in the article and kind of encourage conversation.
Exactly.
We get our site's a lot smaller than what you have, but we see it too. And it's funny. It's like that's not what the purpose of the comments for.
No.
The second part of the question is, commenting, obviously a big part of blogging and websites, and WordPress has their built-in commenting system, and a lot of people use it. But then there are a lot of third-party systems like Discuss and Livefire. Yep. I'm sure there are others as well. What's your feeling? Is it better to use WordPress comments or a third-party solution?
I would say unless you're really, really, really huge, like TechCrunch or Mashable, that are publishing tons of articles a day and receiving, hundreds and hundreds of comments, you should stick with the default. At least that's what I would do.
Okay.
And it allows me to have more control over my site, and it also, I can see things better. It allows people to comment easier. Versus in Livefire, for example, your user has to register with Livefire.
Yeah.
Right.
They and they have a guest option, which, I tried Livefire for about a year, and then I ended up switching back.
Okay.
Because everything that I loved about it, I beginning to dislike after. So, and then I haven't given Discuss a fair try just because I had such a, bad experience.
Right.
With and not to say that Livefire is a terrible product. I like the people behind it. I love Jenna and Jordan and everybody. It just wasn't a best fit for what I was doing.
Right.
And I'm a pretty particular person. So yeah.
So it's not really necessarily a right or wrong answer. I guess it's a matter of what
depends on
situation.
what your needs are.
It depends on your personal preference. If you make your users register on your site, or require them to log in, obviously it will decrease bits of spam there, but it will also decrease the amount of comments you'll get on your site.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of my regular readers, some that were really, really loyal to the site, they stopped commenting when I put Livefire on, and they actually sent me a personal email saying, hey, we will not comment on your site because we don't want to register for a third-party service just to comment on your site. If we were registering for your site, we would be much more comfortable doing so, but you're requiring us to register to a third-party site. And we don't want to connect our Twitter or, because even when you connect your Twitter, basically all you're doing is you're creating a Discuss profile or, a Livefire account.
Right.
When you're authenticating with Twitter, basically instead of writing down all your information, you're just connecting with Twitter and making an account there. So they said they just refused to do that. So a lot of my loyal followers did that.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So it
make
really
sense.
depends on who the site owner is.
Right, and your situation.
And who your audience is too.
Yeah.
Your audience is,
Yeah, talking about, you don't want to put up too many barriers. You want that free flow flowing conversations. Did you have something?
No.
Okay.
Everybody's saying hi and retweeting a lot of your tips. I just wanted to say hello to Francis. So Francis, hello Francis.
Francis.
So good to see you tonight. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up by asking Syed, especially for new bloggers, if you had to give, setting up their accounts, the first thing they have to do regarding security, the most important thing. I know we discussed a ton of things, but the first thing is there a first thing they need to do when they first set it up out of the gate, mandatory?
If you don't do any security thing, anything, what I would recommend you do is set up a good backup solution in place.
Okay.
Very good.
That is the number one thing. Nothing is hacker proof, but having a contingency plan where you have good backups. Remember, making a backup and storing it on your own server is not a good idea.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because when the hacker hacks in, they can just delete all your backups and you have nowhere to restore it. But that's why I recommend WordPress. But if you're using Backup Buddy or Back WP Up, then store it in your Dropbox or in your Amazon S3 account, because an offsite backup solution, a good one, is absolute and must have in my recommendation.
Excellent. That's a great suggestion. In fact, I use Backup Buddy myself and make sure I get those backups on a regular basis.
Where did you get that?
Well, WPBeginner, of course. Where else is there? Come on. Yeah. That's the only site I know for WordPress information. Syed, it's been a pleasure having you on with us. If people want to connect with you further or know a little bit more about you, where would be the good place to go online?
You could find me on Twitter at Syed Balkhi, SYED BALKHI, or you can find me on my personal blog, balkhis.com. If you're looking for WordPress tips in particular, then you can go to WPBeginner.com or at WPBeginner to find answers to your questions.
Awesome.
And even though we didn't say it, we do want to give his other sites a plug. List25.com. Really good, entertaining site. Hey, my daughter knew what it was, and I felt pretty important that I was connected with greatness. But that's articles.
It's 25 intriguing and different information that you can find on the web.
List of 25 things, all different types of subjects with videos, really cool videos. And then SteadyStrength.com, a great health and fitness site, fairly new, but that's getting a lot of traction and some great information. That's run by, I know Adam edits that, Adam Pedley. So, a lot of good stuff there. Syed, thank you very much for coming on with us. We really appreciate having you on PodJam TV Live.
Yep. Thank you for having me, guys.
Man, that was a great episode. Jam-packed with a lot of information there. So I would imagine if you missed anything, you can always rewind and play it again.
Plus, we'll add, again, as he said at the beginning, we will be adding everything that he said on the all the plugins, all the links. The links will be on the show notes.
Absolutely. Hopefully, we'll have Syed back again, because it's not only security, but he's a WordPress guy all the way around, and there's a lot of topics you can talk about WordPress. I know there are a lot of people that are interested in that topic, and hopefully we'll have him back in the future. Yep. So, Inspiring Connections is our semi-weekly podcast whenever we get it out. And the reason for that is all the material, all the content, or at least most of the content thus far in the history of this podcast, comes from a live Sunday night show we do on Google Hangouts called PodJam TV Live. Right?
And it is on Sundays, so most Sundays. At least it's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time.
And you can see that at podjam.tv/live. We embed the show there. Also, all the past shows are there. You can view them as well. And
we do a chat on Twitter during the live show. Yeah, so if you are interested for, future shows, you can just look for it. It's hashtag PTV Live.
You did that so well.
Yeah. 21 episodes.
Right? I know, 21 episodes. We should be getting it right by now, right? And this podcast is available at podjam.tv/Inspiring Connections. You can get all the podcast episodes there.
And you can find us also on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And speaking of iTunes, in order, for not only our site, not only our podcast, but for other podcasts to be seen, right, by more people, maybe you could leave us, if you like what you saw today or heard today, maybe you could leave us a rating and a review.
Hopefully a 5-star rating, that would be great.
Yeah, and then if you do that, we will give you a shout out.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And that goes, as Missy said, that goes for any podcast that you like. I mean, we know a number of podcasters.
We support a lot of podcasts.
Exactly. And it's great free content. And, rating, review, let them know that people are listening and they like the show. And it does help the visibility. So get your favorite shows up there in the rankings. And kind of encourages people and the podcasters to continue putting out great content.
Yep.
So it's kind of a nice fraternity. And so leave us a rating review if you find the content helpful.
Yep.
And I think that'll do it.
Yep.
Right? For another edition of Inspiring Connections. We will see you next time.
Go.